So I set up Be Clever with Your Cash 10 years ago in 2014. And since then, we've had more than 20 million views of the website, 8.5 million views of the YouTube channel, 825,000 downloads of the podcast. So a huge number of people every single week saving and making money, which is something I'm immensely proud of. So to celebrate those 10 years, I thought I would share with you 10 of my top money hacks. I did have a much longer list and I was going to do loads of videos, but it was just too much for it. Let's just read it down. Just my favorite hacks. And by hack, this isn't just a thing where you can, there's this offer over here, or do this thing over here, this way of thinking, this way of doing things that will help you, save you, or make you money. These are the loopholes, the workarounds, the little tricks that I really enjoy doing. And some of these I wrote about first 10 years ago. Some of them are much newer things, but they're all things which kind of help. Well, they're being clever with your cash. They're elevating that money saving or money making, letting you take advantage of even more ways to get better and get more from your money. So that's what we're going to do here, is to take you through 10 of my favorites. Of course, there are many more, and some of them I have covered in more detail on the website, on the podcast, on the YouTube channel. So I will share links with you so you can find that information and delve deeper into each of those. But let's start with the first one. And this is actually something I've been doing for a number of years, but has become much more accessible just in the last sort of 6 to 8 months, I would say. And this is to make sure you never spend full price when you're at the supermarket. You never pay full price. Now, you're probably thinking, you're going to talk about cashback cards here, Andy. That's not a hack. No, I'm not talking about cashback cards. Of course, if you are using cashback cards, well done, pat on the back, but you are not top of the class. Top of the class, and I'm talking here mainly about supermarkets. So I'll explain why mainly supermarkets in a moment, is to use a discounted gift card. Now, gift cards can be problematic in lots of ways. You can lose them. The shops can go out of business, so they're completely pointless. They lose all their value. If you have returned something you buy on a gift card, it comes back to a gift card again, which can be a problem, which is why I don't tend to like using them for general purchases. But with a supermarket, you're going to use them all the time. You're very unlikely to return anything. And if you do return anything, well, you're going to go back again and spend that money again. So these are perfect ways to earn money. And the reason they are better than cashback, debit or credit cards is because the best you're going to get in a supermarket, 1.25% maybe, depending on the supermarket and the card you're using, can be dwarfed by the discount you're going to get on these gift cards. Anywhere between 2% at the lowest end, all the way up to potentially 6%. Now, those rates will vary depending on the supermarket. They'll vary depending on which supermarket, which cashback site you go to buy these gift cards. It depends when you get it, because sometimes those rates are boosted. The average spend per person at the supermarket, and these are the latest figures, which are already quite out of date because food inflation has rocketed, as we all know, over the last sort of year and a half. The per person per week is 41 quid, which adds up to, let's say it's 50 quid now. Let's just put in some food inflation in there. Let's say 50 quid per person per week, £600 a year. Now, even if you're just getting, let's say 3% cash back, that adds up to £18 a year. If you're getting 6% cash back, that's 36 quid a year. Okay, that's not much. It's not a huge amount, but this is per person. How many of us, some of us are obviously just us as individuals, but many of us are families. And we have more heads to feed, more people to buy food. And many of us might be spending more than that £50 a week anyway, depending on what our budgets are. But let's say you are on that still 50 quid a week per person, so 200 quid a week for a family of 4, then that jumps up massively between 72 quid and 144 quid, just by using sites such as Hyperjar, Cheddar, Jam Donut, Top gift cards via Top Cashback, and even airtime rewards. Or I'm less keen on that one simply because the money you get back there goes only to some people on some networks. Still a good thing to look at, but you might not be for everyone. So this is a nice, easy hack to start off with. Just buy a gift card before you go shopping. Even when you're at the till, sometimes you can buy them. They're almost instant, and pay with that, and you're going to be making money back on your spending all the time, more than you're going to get from any other way of paying. Next up is one that I'm sure those of you who have been following the site for a long time will know all about, and this is dummy current accounts for switching. I'm not going to go into a huge amount of detail here because I have only just covered it, and you can find the full article, video, and podcast with information about how to do these. But the reason this is a great little hack is because bank switching is amazing, right? Making money from bank switching is amazing. That's not a hack. The problem is sometimes when you do switch from your existing current account, you are going to be sacrificing some rewards, some benefits that you might want to keep, or even just the user experience that you quite like. But even worse, potentially, is if you have had this account for a long time, then closing it down as you will as part of a bank switch to the new account will mean you'll lose it. It gets dropped from your credit report, and longevity is such an important factor in there. It obviously takes time to replace that. So again, having a dummy current account, which you can set up with the pure purpose, the only reason you've got it is to switch, is my second top hack. The next one is linked to this, and this is around direct debits, because sometimes a switch offer will come along that requires you to have direct debit. So it might not be a switching offer, to be fair. It could be a reward account that you want to set up as an extra account to get something like free Disney Plus or cinema tickets, things like that. Now, if you're like me, your main direct debits are already tied up. So I'm getting cash back on my bills. I am getting some of those freebies and rewards, things like that. That actually, if I never switching deal comes along, I don't necessarily have any direct debits that I can move along, because I'll be missing out on those other features by putting them on the account I want to switch from. So this is about setting up some really quick and fast, because sometimes these direct debits for back switching deals, you need to set them up so they're active and they're paid out of your account really fast, is another great hack here. And rather than setting up ones as well that pay somebody else, another business or another individual for whatever reason, you can do this so you pay yourself. And that's the hack. You're setting up a direct debit that goes from your current account into your savings account. There are only a handful that will allow you to do this. My top ones are Plum and Moneybox. There are a couple more, and I have covered this in more detail again, so you can find all that information on the website, on YouTube, and so on. But that is a great one. So basically, you set them up, the money goes out of your current account, the direct debit is active, and then once you fulfilled the requirements of the switch or the other reward, whatever it is you need it, you can just transfer that money back to your account. So you haven't lost out at all. And the admin time on this is minimal. So that is another great hack when it comes to banking. Let's move on to entertainment now. We're going to come back to banks and credit cards in a bit, but I want to share something here, which I love going to the cinema, right? I love going to the movies, and they are, there are a number of ways that I don't pay full price. Sometimes I get freebies, all these things, but these deals do come and go. But one of the things that's been around for a long time, and again, this is one of the things that I wrote about really, really early on in the website, which is why I wanted to include this, is a hack that I discovered, which allows you to get Meerkat movies for just £1. And I'm sure you know what Meerkat movies is. You've seen the adverts, right? It's 2-for-1 movies every Tuesday or Wednesday. Now, to get this, you have to buy an insurance policy via the comparison site Compare the Market. Now, that might not be a biggie. You might just get your home insurance, your car insurance, whatever it is through there. But that might not be the best deal, and it's certainly not a reason to go to Compare the Market. And in fact, you can completely ignore that. You can do whatever else you want to shop around with for those insurance policies, because the £1 hack to get you this 2-for-1 movies promotion is to simply go to Compare the Market and select a 1-day UK travel insurance policy. And it doesn't matter if you're ever going to use it, just 1 day, set it for a week, 2 weeks, 3 months, it doesn't matter when it is, right? Just need to buy it. It's about £1, could be a little bit more than that, £1.20, but normally around £1. And then you are eligible. And you can do this every year. And it gives you that, you get a code once a week for 2-for-1 movies. You also get access to something called Meerkat Meals, which is like 25% off the bill at a number of restaurants, a bit like Taste Cards, powered by Taste Card, or the company behind Taste Card at least. So again, that's well worth doing this nice little hack, £1, and you're going to save on movies all year round. Now, the next one is something I also wrote about in the early days of the website, and it's still been going. 10 years later, you can still take advantage of it. It has changed its form over those years, but I think it's well worth taking a look at. And this is for anyone who would like to get the O2 Priority app, but isn't with O2 or Virgin Media Broadband or TV. Because if you're with O2 or Virgin Media Broadband or TV, then you get O2 Priority anyway. But if you're not, you can still get it. And it's a really, really simple hack. You basically buy a pay-as-you-go SIM and you top it up by £10. And then that will give you access to that for 6 months. In fact, it normally gives you access for even longer. It doesn't even have to be in your phone. But if you want to, just be sure, after 6 months, put it back in your phone, send a text message or whatever it is, or just, someone phone you, just activate it so everything's going on, and then take it out again. And that hopefully will keep it going for another 6 months. If worst comes to worst, you put another £10 in. Now, this same trick can be done as well for the other loyalty schemes that come with Three and with Vodafone. They also require you to have active SIMs with £10 put on them, but the date, the time period is much shorter. So for Vodafone, it's every 6 weeks, and with Three, it's 90 days. So again, they're ones that you're going to have to be a bit more proactive, potentially, if you are going to cost you more money to keep adding more money on. So they might not be as worthwhile, but take a look at what those freebies are. The O2 one hasn't been as good for the last 4 or 5 months, but over the years, I've had free Odeon tickets, I've had free Apple TV Plus, free Greg's, free hot drinks, all sorts of discounts, the ability to get priority tickets for gigs that I want to go to, pre-sale tickets. So this is well worth having a look. And again, this is talk about hacks here. A great way. You don't have to be with the big networks in order to take advantage of these. You can find the cheapest deal elsewhere, cheapest SIM deal, but still get these loyalty packages. Okay, now a banking one for you. And this is a big one. I love this one. I've got a whole separate video and article which really goes into detail on this. So I'll let you check those ones out. But this is where you can get effectively 360 quid a year from a Halifax reward account, or not quite. It's a little bit more nuanced than that, but effectively, you probably know about this account because I talk about it quite often. It's the Halifax Reward current account. As long as you pay £1,500 into the account every single month and spend £500 on the debit card every single month, then you will get a £5 reward. Or you can have a free cinema ticket if you want, but I go with a £5 reward because it gives me more flexibility. That in itself is not a hack, right? You just open the account and take advantage of it. There are actually 2 different hacks within this single hack, okay? The first one is you can have 3 of these accounts. You might not be aware of this, right? So that means not 60 quid a year, but 180 quid a year, right? So that in itself, fantastic, right? Take advantage of that. The problem you've got though with that one is that's then £1,500 you have to spend on your debit cards. There's 3 different debit cards, 500 each, to trigger that money. And that becomes a little bit harder to do. So you can hack this, right? The first way to hack this is to not actually spend on those debit cards in a normal way on your normal spending. Instead, you can do things like you can pay off a cashback credit card, which we'll come back to in a minute. So £500 to pay off your credit card, done, sorted. You can send money to a number of banks, not a huge number, but Monzo, Revolut, Chip will let you top up with your debit card. Now, actually, how you do that is a bit more complicated. So again, I've covered that elsewhere, but it's not sending money. It's not a bank transfer. It's using your debit card to top them up. And I do that. So every month I put £500 on a credit card, £500 to Monzo, £500 to Revolut. Done. So that is going to give me 180 quid. And I've not spent a thing over a year. Okay, it's just me spending money elsewhere. The next level of the hack, though, I get excited about this one, is so if you're not using your Halifax debit cards for this spending, you're free from doing this. I've absolved you from having to do that thing. Well, then what do you do with that money? And then it's about ensuring you are using those cashback credit or debit cards that we mentioned at the top of this episode for your spending. Now, by not spending that money on Halifax, that frees up an extra, let's say 1% on that spending. And again, assuming you can do £1,500 of spending in a month, that might be a little bit more ambitious when we talk about that supermarket cashback gift card offer that I mentioned before. But if you're assuming you're doing that, you're effectively getting another £5 per month per card, doubling the total overall from this single hack to 360 quid. Again, I've got a whole video in detail on this, a whole article in detail on this, so do check that one out. Okay, hack number 7 is literally one of the first articles I wrote on the website 10 years ago, and it disappeared for a while, but it's kind of come back in a form. It's not going to be perfect for everyone, but it's one of my favorites, and if you can take advantage of it, it's well worth looking at, which is why I wanted to include it in this top 10. And this is how to get a student card, even if you're not a student. Now, the initial hack that I wrote about, which probably was my most popular article for the first 3 or 4 years of the site, was to buy an online course from the likes of Groupon and places like that. Could easily be about a couple of quid to do this, and that online course will give you eligibility for an NUS card. Really simple, really easy, and I saved a fortune down this route. They closed that loophole. That stopped, when was that? I want to say about 5 years ago. But then, in the last few years, it has come back in a couple of different ways. So I want to tell you about it now, because I still think it's worth pursuing. First of all, if you took advantage of that previous hack when I told you about it back in the day, then you are probably going to be eligible for an alumni card. It's no longer called NUS card anymore. It's called Totem. So if you log into your Totem account, if you haven't done that because your NUS card days were a bit further past, you might have to get in touch with their support to transfer your login. But do that, or log into your now Totem account, and hopefully you will see it off saying, hey, you're alumni, you can buy an alumni card. And if you do it for the 3 years, that locks you in, means if they change the rules again, you at least got this discount for the next 3 years. So definitely worth having a look at that. If you took advantage of the hack, or actually if you have graduated from university in the last 3 years, you might not be aware of this, so do that. If that's not going to be the case, then you might be able to do a version of the original hack, because there are a number of online providers that are back on the Totem website that will make you eligible for this professional Totem Pro, essentially. Not a student version, pro version, but the discounts are pretty much all the same. And I've seen a number of these via Read. Again, I've got a whole article looking at some of those providers which I know are on there. You buy one of these courses, about 12 quid now. And the only thing here is I can't guarantee it's going to work. I haven't tried it out myself because I've still got an alumni card that's still working. But you do that. A number of these providers, they do list within Reed saying they are eligible for it. You might find that they turn around and say they won't do this because there has to be certain courses which are eligible, certain courses that aren't. But I think it's well worth giving it a go, particularly if you're going to be shopping at Apple, because you'll get a discount on iMacs and MacBooks and iPads. You won't get it on phones, but a hefty discount there. So I've been using, when I've bought newer MacBooks over the years, over the last 10 years, I've had a student discount thanks to this hack. Also 10% off at Boots, a number of other places. You won't be able to get your discounts on the likes of Spotify, but there are still well worth taking advantage of this one if you can. A couple of credit card hacks for you, and this is another one of my favorites. This is how you can boost the value of points that you earn if you're earning either Avios points or Amex reward points. Now, I'm not a big fan of Avios points. Those of you who regularly check out my stuff will know that, because I'd much rather shop around for the flights, find different deals, find different airlines, see what the best thing I can do, and I've earned cash back instead rather than actual points. But there are some really decent Avios welcome bonuses out there, both from American Express and from Barclaycard, and sometimes they're boosted. So they are kind of pretty decent ones to go for at times, for potentially 25 to 50,000 Avios points you can get, but you don't have to keep them as Avios. And this is the hack here. The hack is you convert them into Nectar points, which means you can then get all these points and you can use them at Sainsbury's, Argos, eBay. And let's say you had 25,000 points, Avios points, that's worth about 167 quid. Okay, so that's worth thinking about. The next level of this, and again, this is another one of those hacks which has two hacks within it, is the American Express membership reward points like you get on the gold card or the platinum card or the rewards card. These can also be boosted in value via this hack, because rather than swapping them points straight into, let's say, Nectar points or to a gift card where they're valued at 0.5%, if you swap them first into Avios and then into Nectar points, you increase that value to 0.67%. So not as good as some of the options out there, but when you're looking again at the big welcome bonuses on those particular Amex cards, then it is a really, really great hack to increase what your return from them, as long as you're going to shop at Sainsbury's or Argos or eBay. Hack number 9 is also around credit cards. And this is my credit card waiting hack. Now, when you get a new credit card, the welcome bonuses, particularly on American Express, but also there's the Barclaycard Avios Premium Plus card. The rule here is you cannot have had a card in your name in the last 2 years in order to be eligible for that bonus. Now, there are a couple of exceptions which I have covered recently separately with American Express, but broadly speaking, that is the rule. So if you want to take advantage and get more welcome bonuses, very simply, you cancel your card and then you wait 2 years. Now, if you've got an American Express credit card and you cancel that, then maybe you could then go on to the Barclaycard one and have that for a couple of years and get the bonus there. And there are a number of other offers that come and go that I often share with you, which are worth looking at in that 2-year period. 2 years up, you apply again, you get the welcome bonus. Once you've got that, had it for a year, maybe cancel. So you can basically keep recycling through and keep getting welcome bonuses. The next level of the hack within this hack is that if you have a partner, when you cancel your Amex, they sign up and they can get a welcome bonus and they can give you a supplementary card. So you've still got, both of you, an Amex to spend with, or the Barclaycard, Avios card, and then you spend for 2 years. Then when your 2 years of waiting is up, they cancel their cards. You apply for a new one and get a new welcome bonus, have those cards for 2 years, and they wait, and then 2 years. So you can basically keep doing this. And again, so those welcome bonuses could easily be worth 150, 200 quid. If you're doing this as a pair and you're getting one of these two of these every 2 years, then that is going to be a really, really great way to get some extra cash and boost money on your spending. The last deal is one of my favorites I want to share with you as well. And again, ditching Sky or Virgin TV is not a hack, right? It's something I tell you guys about all the time. You are going to save a huge amount of money by doing that. And one of the things I tell you about in order to get those same channels is to sign up for Sky's own streaming service called Now. You will get most of the channels. The only big difference really is you can't record. So it's on demand or it's live streaming. But for most people, that is not going to be a problem. And it will save you money full price versus the same channels full price versus Sky. The hack, though, is to never let this service renew. It's a month-by-month service, right? So apart from some introductory offers where you're tied in for sort of 6 months, you basically can cancel at any time. And you really should do this, because when you go through that cancellation process, and there are a number of steps you have to go through. Do you sure? What about this? Do you see? Have you watched this? Okay, number of steps. When you go through this, almost every time I've done this, and I have done this a lot over the years, I've been offered a discount to stick around. So I've reduced the price, sometimes by a couple of quid, sometimes by a lot more, by 50%, 60%. Big savings by going through that cancellation process. And of course, if the deal isn't very good, then you don't have to accept it. You can just cancel, because remember, you're on a 30-day contract, so you can ditch it and then wait 2, 3, 4 months. And when there's more things you want to watch, sign up again for that pass. Might have to be a full price for that first month, but then if you want to keep it for another month after that, you can follow this same cancellation hack again and bring that price down. And it will make a big difference. And these are just my top 10 hacks. There were so many more I could have included. So I'm sure as the year goes on, we'll do more of these top 10 lists, maybe a bit more specific on some different areas, or maybe bigger videos on individual hacks themselves. But there's going to be more information about all of these over at becleverwithyourcash.com, or just search on the YouTube channel for the videos which are related to them, or check the links within this video. My name is Andy Webb. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, cheers.